What is good, Counter-Strike fans? Welcome to my 13th episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today, we're going to talk about IEM Melbourne 2025, the group stage event. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe. Apologies for not getting this video out sooner, but hopefully this gives you enough time to watch the video, pick your own team, and then take a look at some of my options that I have. But yeah, let's just get started. And like we always do, let's take a look back at how we did our previous team. And this was my previous team. We only got top 56%, only 4 points going towards pre-season standings. Bait was the only team that the two players that I have from Bait, Essential and Kensior, were the only two players that actually made it to the major. Everyone else got eliminated along the way. It was just a rough event in general. I mean, Jacob, I was hyping him up. He did really poor for me. He did really poor in general. So yeah, and Gamer Legion as well. A lot of teams pick Gamer Legion players and they did really poor. So just a poor event in general. If we take a look at the best value for money players, a lot of Heroic, some Navinga, and I mean we had Hetrick in there, but not my Bait players. So it was always gonna be tough. The BO1s made it a lot more random and a lot tougher to call who was gonna get the best scores. But yeah, probably should have gone with the Heroic and backed Saw as the coach. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. If we look at my spring season standing, it didn't really change much, which still within 30 points. We're now at 37. We did drop down a little bit in the leaderboard, but there's still a shot that we can still get into the top 10, win some prize money. We just have to be a little bit differential. We have to pick our events where we have to be differential, and hopefully, I can bounce back and do a lot better in this event. But now for this event, it is split into two groups, double elimination. So you need 2 losses to get eliminated. For Group A, we have Mouz versus Big, 3D Max versus Gamer Legion, Faze versus Pain, and Mongols versus Complexity. This game, I think, for this group, Faze versus Pain is the farm game. This could be an insane opportunity for someone like Faze to pop off. I mean, Pain are going to be without Bigusera, and when with the coach standing in for Bigusera, and they're still playing with that academy player in Demos, and they still haven't chosen their 5th. I don't expect Demo to be their 5th. I think they're ready to go and get someone else in the market. But yeah, they're still going to be playing with like a stand-in team for this event. So Faze has a good chance of farming there. Another farming game as well as Mouz versus Big. I think Mouz should destroy Big quite easily. I would say then 3D Max and Gamer Legion is like a 50-50. I would lean more towards 3D Max winning that, just because I didn't like what I saw from Gamer Legion. And then Mongols versus Complexity. Mongols should win, but it will not be easy for them. And I think there's an upset potential right there, especially with the form that Complexity have looked at. And I created a little tier list right here of where I expect each team to land on. So for example, for Group A, I think Mouz will be top in the group. I think they will meet Faze in the upper final. I think Big and Pain have no chance. I think they will go 0-2 quite easily. I expect Mongols to win the lower finals. And then they will probably face one of 3D Max, Complexity, or Gamer Legion along the way. I put them in order where I think the highest likelihood each team make it to lower finals. So 3D Max would be the most and Gamer Legion will be the less. I do expect Mouz and Faze to make it through, just because the rest of the teams are not as good, but I can see some upsets along the way. And yeah, I think Mongols should win the lower finals, but be careful with teams like 3D Max and Complexity. So target teams from these 3 teams, but then if you want to take a chance on some of these lower final candidates, you can for Group A. For Group B, it's going to be Vitality versus FlyQuest, Liquid versus Burst Pro, Falcons versus Saw, and Navi versus MIBR. Vitality and FlyQuest would be the farm game, and FlyQuest just changed their rule to remove their IGL and Dexter. So I think Ines is not the new IGL. So a lot for them to think about and, see how they match up against some of the best teams in the world. I don't expect them to do well. I think Vitality will be able to destroy them quite easily in this game. I also expect Falcons and Navi to be solid MIBR 2-0 easily. The only game I think will be 50-50 with Liquid versus Burst Pro. I would lean more Liquid just because they have the higher upside. And Burst Pro have not looked good either. But at least with Liquid, we can give them at least some grace from their first event where they have Sushi. They have a lot of time to practice, and hopefully now they come in with a better performance than what we saw last time. And then for this tier list, I have Vitality top in the group, and then they're gonna meet Falcons in the upper finals. MIVR, FlyQuest, and Saw have no chance. MIVR and Saw will probably face each other in the lower stage, or the lower stage of their group. Whoever wins that is probably gonna get knocked off quite easily. And I think Navi will win the lower finals, and they'll probably face one of Virtus Pro or Liquid. Honestly, Navi are there for the taking. I think to face Liquid, I think Liquid could have the upset against Navi. If Navi face Virtus Pro, I don't see Navi losing that. But against Liquid, I could see, especially, maybe it might be some NA copium, but you never know. Especially with Navi, their form, and then Liquid's upside that they have with their new players. But enough about that. We can take a look at the most picked players currently. Currently, the most picked player is Brolin. He's almost close to 50% chosen. After that is Apex, not too far behind. And you can see the 3 riflers from Vitality, other than Apex, are also up there. Robs, Messi, and Flamesy. Only 500 teams differences between Robs and Flamesy, so not much of a difference there. A lot of teams are starting to pick into Monesy and Kixen, so that double up looks interesting, and then Kerrigan as a leftover. And now we can talk about players individually. For Vitality, all 5 players are options. I would say Saiwu is the best option. Now, is he the most optimal? I'm not sure. At 240, you know what he's gonna be one of the best value players in this event. You just gotta be careful around the team that you build him. So you want to make sure that you build a strong team around him. In an event like group stage where there are worse teams, some of the other teams have better opportunities to farm as well. I don't know if Saiwu will be the best here. I think Saiwu is a lot better when it comes to playoffs, especially when you know that Vitality can be that team that goes on and wins the whole thing. But if you pick Saiwu, it's not a bad choice. I just wouldn't do it for a group stage like this. The option between Robs and Flamesy, I think it's pretty easy. I think you go Flamesy, you save that 4K. I don't think Robs will be worth it, the extra price. However, Robs is more consistent, I would say, but Flamesy also is more likely to take opening duels, especially against worse opposition like FlyQuest. He will perform better, and Robs will have less for him to clutch or get a multi-kill like holding sight. Meanwhile, the same thing goes for Apex and Messi. Like Apex is more likely to find that opening duel first than Messi, and Messi is more likely to do better against better opposition, like in the playoffs. I think Apex is better than Messi. Messi, I think that's probably the least likely player I would go from Vitality. I think my 3 favorites from Vitality would be Saiwu, Flamesy, and Apex. For Mouz, have a great chance of topping their group. I think their pricing is a little bit tougher to get around because they don't really have they have an easy path to the upper finals, but the way that their team works, they kind of all share the ratings and they don't really blow out teams as much as Vitality. Brolin at 188, he's the most picked player for a reason. I don't think he's a must-have, but he's a solid option. The only player I will not go with is Jimhead. I think he hasn't really put up the ratings that we kind of wish for him. I think he does a lot better in tougher games. Someone like just like Messi in that regard for Vitality. So I wouldn't go there. Torchy at 218 has been their best player this whole year, most consistent. But 218 is a little bit much, especially. I think I'd rather spend 3k less and go for Surgeon, who, like Flamesy, has a lot of opportunity for him to go into side, get 2 entry kills, and then get traded out by some of these other players. So the upside is with Surgeon, and probably the best value is for him. If you want to spend a little bit less, Spinks is not bad either. Like, my 3 favorites would definitely be Spinks, Surgeon, and Brolin from this team. They're all 3 solid players. Navi, I don't think you go with Navi with their current form, and even with the pricing as well. So the pricing kind of just like destroys them as options. Bit and Jail are no-goes. LXCP at 183 is not bad, but there's better players for the same or even cheaper further down from other teams. So I wouldn't go there either. Then you have Iman Wonderful. Wonderhole at 205 is interesting, but his recent form and his performances have not been good enough. I think if you were to go one Navi player, it has to be Ima. He's been their second best player this year consistently. But at 209, it's a little bit much. I would just fade completely Navi. Mongols. For Mongols is the usual suspects. Techno, Blitz, and Sensu. Techno because he's cheap. Blitz because of the consistency. And Sensu because of the upside. Benzinho has been a lot better recently. But at 199, I still wouldn't go there. I think I'd rather spend up a little bit more for Blitz or spend down for Techno. And 910, if you want to get a little bit different, but I'd rather just find the money for Sensu if you want to spend up that much for Mongols players. Faze Clan have a great chance to farm against Pain, and they have some interesting pricing. Kerrigan at 179, usually I don't like going with Kerrigan, but they have that Pain game. They can farm that, and then you can chicken out Kerrigan against if they get to the upper finals and face Mouz. So it's not the worst for Kerrigan pickers. But if you pick Kerrigan, you have to basically combo him with Frozen or a Leech. I wouldn't just pick Kerrigan as a one-off. Frozen, because he's been Faze's most consistent player. He's been put up 1.17s, 1.18s consistently. Leech has the same upside that Frozen has and is 6k cheaper, but he has a lot more volatility than Frozen. And he can have some highs and ups. I mean, especially because he's getting told basically to go in and take a bunch of duels, and some of the Faze players have not been able to trade him properly, or he has not been able to perform to his best that we saw in Complexity. He's taking a little bit while to get adjusted to playing in a new team, but at least Frozen have the most upside. Brogy can also do that. I mean, this last event he did quite well, 1.11. At 2.6, not the worst option either, and I like it. If you can spend up to Elite and Frozen. Rain at 184 is fine. There's nothing really exciting about Rain. He's just consistent. Falcons is another team that has some interesting players. I mean, Monesy at 225. Monesy should in reality be priced at 230 or even 235, so you're getting a massive discount with him. I don't think he would need a lot of getting used to this team, especially because they just won the previous event, that they were in. I think Monesy will do quite well. I mean, it's just an easy swap between him and Dexter. Then I have two different, and I think Monesy will do well. So 225, I like that. I think it's my favorite play for this whole event. So he's my favorite player to pick from. Nico 219 as well is a great option. So he's been super consistent, been Falcons' best player so far this year, and being reunited with Monesy will probably give him better results in general. But I think I'd rather spend up a little bit more for Monesy if you were to go with one of these Falcon goal players. With Monesy coming into the team, I think it should help elevate Magic's test and kickstand. I think kickstand will be my favorite 183. He's been actually putting up some good ratings, and for 183, pairing him with Monesy is not the worst choice. After that, kick test will be a differential at 203. Yeah, he'd be a differential there. Magic's, I just wouldn't go there, honestly. I just haven't been impressed by Magic's. His rating has been consistently like in the 0.97s to 1.02, so he's in that range consistently, and I don't see much upside with him. Virtus Pro, they have a chance, but I think it's kind of likely. I don't really like the pricing either for some other players. Electronic 179 is fine, but he hasn't been good. He's putting up like 0.86, so he's not the prime electronic that we've been seeing, honestly. If you have to pick one player, Flit. But yeah, other than that, I don't know about Virtus Pro. Just Flit or no one, really. Same thing for 3D Max. At least some of their pricing is a little bit more friendly. Gravity 183 is an option. But if you were to target 3D Max, you have to go Body or Baka in that case. Gamer Legion, unlikely to make it soon to the next stage for the playoffs and do quite well, but the pricing is okay. Like CTR 179 is fine if you want to pair it with someone else. Honestly, with Gamer Legion, just take your option. I think, Res and PR will probably be the best players from them, but it's a little bit high, their pricing. So yeah, you would have to probably like downgrade to like Tazen or Slan. But yeah, Gamer Legion, I don't know. Probably wouldn't pick any, but you can take a gamble there. Here is where I think if you want to take a gamble outside of those top 6 teams I mentioned, it has to be with Liquid. I mean, look at the pricing. NAF 184. This is like IGO pricing right here. He had this worst event last year, but hopefully this time around. Well, he has this worst, not last year, but he has this worst event last event of the whole year. I think in his career, honestly. But hopefully this time around he puts up NAF stats at least. So 184 is an option. Shoot hit 175 is the cheapest player I would go in this whole event. And you can get better players around him. Between Nerds, Twist, and Ultimate, you have options here. I'd probably pick Nerds and Twist before I take a look at Ultimate. Especially Twist, because he's just been consistent. Even when the team performs bad, Twist still frags out. So Liquid's an option. I don't know about doubling up, but maybe you could pick a one-off. It's an option. Complexity as well. I have options for a one-off as well. I think Grim or 60 are the two options here. Grim because it's upside. 60 because of his price and what he's shown recently. Other than that, probably wouldn't go double up Complexity or even a single one. Pain, as you know, is a no-go. Saw, MIPR, Big, FlyQuiz, they're no-goes in general. Now we can take a look at the teams. And this first team I'm going to show you is a super crazy upside chasing lineup. So we're picking the two teams that I think are going to make it to the upper finals, and Falcons and Faze. And we're picking some of their best players. I mean, Kickstand, Monesy. Monesy is the highest upside player in this whole event, other than Saiwu, but he has a cheaper pricing. And then you have Elite and Brokey as well. They face Pain first, and then after that, you just hope for the best, and they actually will not put up like negative ratings in that regard. And then Shuhi has a throw in. I think Shuhi is an option because if they were to be Burst Pro, you can chicken him out against Vitality. Then they will have to face one of Sa or MIBR. They should be able to win that, and then they will make it to lower finals match, which would probably be against Navi. Liquid could maybe upset that. You don't really need him to do that. You just need him to put up some okay ratings against Burst Pro and against MIBR, and just not to hurt you too much against Navi. So Shuhi's an option in that regard. So this team has that upside, and it is quite differential, I would say. Next team, I think this is the picking the group toppers. So picking Vitality and Mouz. You pick Apex and Flamesy, two solid players from Vitality, my two favorite players from Vitality, and then Surgeon from Brolin. Again, two solid players. Surgeon, being super aggressive, you can farm some of the easier games. And then you throw in Kixen, who's probably my favorite bronze out of this whole event. And yeah, he has good roles as well. So pretty safe lineup, I would say. And could do just as good, honestly. Next, this is the upside lineup. Same thing as the other one. We still have Vitality, and we still have Kixen. But now we have Faze players and Broken Rain. I mean, that pain game is super enticing. Their Faze could farm that quite easily. And then maybe if they get to the upper finals, they could be Mouz in the best of 3. Like, there's always that chance. And if they do, then Broken Rain could be worth the value. Then, this team is interesting because it's like safe, but it also has the upside with Faze as well. I would say this is the safest team that you can have, but with some upside. So we have Apex Flamesy, and instead of Kixen, we have Brolin. So that's your Mouz player, your safe option right there. You're the most picked player. But then we have Frozen and Kerrigan. Again, targeting that pain matchup. This team was my favorite team, and it's the current team that I'm on. But I'm starting to sway a little bit from it. Just because of Kerrigan. I mean, Kerrigan can farm pain, and then win against Mongols, and then you can chicken him out against Mouz. That could be the option there, but can Frozen carry him enough for him to be worth it? I mean, you just need to have a good pain game, and it can happen, but I don't know. This was the team I was going to initially go with, but I'm starting to sway away from it to maybe like this team right here, and just completely going against Mouz and just picking these two Faze players instead, and then Kixen as the cheapie. So now I'm starting to lean more towards this team, but this team is still solid, I would say. This is just an extra team right here, just a crazy random team right here, and I like this team actually. Like, you have the upside with Monesy. Monesy will probably be one of the best value for money players in the whole event. You have one Faze player, and it's a solid Faze player, and Brokey, who just can farm pain. And then you have Apex from Vitality, so just carrying one Vitality player. Apex, who, just when Vitality, farm those extra games, you'll have them just in case. Again, carrying Mouz player as well, just in case they farm as well, and then Kixen as your Monesy backup to get like those points where Monesy farms. This one I probably wouldn't go with just because it has 3 IGLs. It's kind of all over the place, and you kind of want to pick the right players from the teams that can top the group, or that can farm their way up into the top of the group. I guess get to the upper final, because then you get the most amount of points there, and here you kind of have to rely on, Falcons doing good, and Monesy carrying you basically, and then if Mouz make it to the upper finals, then you had to hope that Brolin is the one farming those games, and then Apex you're missing out a lot on the vitality uh farm, and then but you still have Brokey there, but it's kind of like all over the place. It's a fun lineup and it's an interesting lineup, but I wouldn't go there honestly. I'm starting to lean into this team just because I don't know if I trust Kerrigan enough over, 3 games, but this team will be a lot safer. Other than that, let me know what you think about your team. Let me know what your teams are. Let me know what you think about my current teams that I'm having to think about. I want to go with Monesy, but I think it would be safer just to go with 2 Vitality players. And if you go with Monesy, I think you cannot have 2 Vitality players basically, because then you would kind of be going against that Monesy pick. But yeah, let me know what you think. I will leave a link down below with what my current team will be, so check it out. I will also leave a comment before the event starts. I think the event's about to start in like a couple hours, so there's not gonna be much time for me to really think about this. I'm probably gonna lean towards one of these 2 teams. And yeah, I think I'm gonna take the chance on Faze. Then Mouz or even Falcons. I think Faze would be the option that I go with for my double up. And yeah, good luck, have fun, and see you for the next event.